Ready, set, hut, hut.
As the hills of West Virginia resound with the sounds of Golden Blue football.
Almost heaven, West Virginia.
Now let's bring on the Mountaineers. Goes around about the 50 to 10 to 5. A touchdown, West Virginia. He did it.
He did it. Patrick White. Touchdown, Tavon Austin.
The Don Nehlen's Mountaineers enjoy walking in where angels fear to tread.
I think you think that these guys are going to fall over dead for you. Well, I got news for you. They're going to punch you right in the mouth. It's Mountaineer pride.
Nothing cheap, nothing dirty, but West Virginia football. West Virginia football.
We've no doubt tonight they shouldn't have played the old Golden Blue. Not this night.
They've done it. They've done it. A perfect season. And the Mountaineers, for the first time in history, undefeated and untied.
Don Nehlen and his Mountaineers, for the second time, have finished a regular season with an unblemished mark.
Ain't no stopping the Golden Blue.
It is a great night to be a Mountaineer wherever you may be.
What's going on, Mountaineer Nation? Welcome back into the Country Roads webcast here for another live stream and another transfer portal update here, December 23rd edition. Yes, I'm wearing a Santa hat because we're this close to Christmas, obviously, and also because it's a transfer portal update where we're not talking about departures. We're talking about West Virginia getting some commits. Just last night, we were doing the transfer portal update, talking about the coaching staff additions as well, the reported additions, and then while we're live, we get another commit. So we had multiple commits yesterday. Had a little duo there, a defensive back in Jordy Scruggs and a receiver in Orrin Singleton. And then today we get a trio. So they're coming in bunches for the Mountaineers. Like I told you guys, these transfers would be starting to come in and not just be going out for West Virginia. They're going to be bringing a lot of transfers in throughout this offseason as well. And we're starting to see some movement on that side of things, which is very exciting. And we're going to talk about that. That's what we'll lead things off with, is the transfer portal update. And then we got to talk a little bit about some roster changes that have came out, a little bit of news that came out on the current West Virginia roster, some players that won't be back actually, in addition to the ones that we know that have transferred previously. And then other than that, pretty much just chat with you guys a little bit here and see what you guys want to talk about this evening. I see Kenny in here, Timmy, Larry, appreciate you guys. Merry Christmas as well. See you guys throwing it in there in chat. But if you're watching this live or if you're watching this after the fact on a playback, just before I get into the transfer update here, just want to remind you guys, if you do us a favor and hit that thumbs up button, it really helps a ton with that YouTube algorithm. This will get pushed out. It'll find more Mountaineer football fans. And if you're one of those Mountaineer football fans that enjoys this type of coverage, roster building, transfer portal, recruiting, all that good stuff we covered here at CRW, so be sure to hit that subscribe button as well, and really appreciate that. And if you are in here live, throw some questions, comments you got there in the chat. I will touch up with you guys here throughout the stream. And I'm going to throw a poll in this stream. I know the past few streams I haven't been doing that. I always try and do the poll of the night in the streams, but been lacking on that a little bit. But I will throw one in here as soon as we get through the transfer portal update. But let's talk about it, guys. Let's talk about the additions for West Virginia. Let's lead it off with, I think, one that's probably one of the more impactful additions that we've had thus far. It's probably being a little bit unheralded, a little bit underrated, and that's the addition of Walter Youngbear to the offensive line coming over from Tulsa. Big pickup. If you guys watched the stream last night, we were talking about the West Virginia roster as it stands currently and how thin the offensive line was, and the West Virginia would need to, have some additions there. And I'd heard rumors about a guy visiting. There was an offensive lineman from Tulsa, and indeed, here he is, Walter Youngbear, committing. Following that visit, and like I said, there were several guys in on a visit, and since then we've seen 5 commits from that visit weekend. So West Virginia will have another one of those in about a week or so. So maybe we'll see some more commits then as we get up to the dead period now, up through Christmas and up through New Year's, where you can't do visits really. This was the last weekend, but West Virginia had several guys in, and one of those, Walter Youngbear, commits. And this is a big pickup. A lot of people were after him, a lot of big programs were trying to get Walter Youngbear, including Bill Belichick at UNC. And as we mentioned with Jordy Scruggs, one of the first transfer commits, Coach Prime was hard after him at Colorado. So Rich Rod here in the transfer portal, right in the early cycle, beating out Coach Prime once, beating out Bill Belichick once. You like to see that from him. But just to sell you a little bit on Walter Youngbear, if his suitors and stuff aren't enough to sell you on that, how about a little bit of taste of his playing from, his own page here. This is from his social media. If you guys want to follow him there, it's at Walter Young, BEA2. Of course, committed to WVU, all conference lineman there in the AAC conference, but he put this up on a mute the music on it because it probably would get us a little copyright, I think. But you see him here. He's 54, which obviously a good number, Zach Frazier. But watch him on these highlights, man, if you just want to see a little bit of Walter Youngbear. Which great name as well. But you can see that's physical. He's going to fit in that hard edge culture, I think, just fine. And there he is. They didn't even have anybody block, so he just had to go hit somebody. There he is again, just mauling somebody. Pancake at the end. That's what you call finishing the block down to the ground. So just look at the strength, and I think this guy's going to do really well on a Rich Rod offense. We could be talking about a potential starter at guard. I think Al Tuner's going to play center, or Livingston. I think I'd see Youngbear more at guard. We'll see what happens. But you see here from the highlights, definitely a good pickup and definitely one of the best transfer additions we've had thus far, in my opinion, is the commitment here of Youngbear. And you see him, he looks like a Mountaineer, and his name's Youngbear. I mean, how do you not love that? So I think this is a good pickup for WVU as we take a look at some of his highlights there from his social media. And like I said, if you want to see the rest of that, follow him there, guys. Big pickup for WVU, adding Walter Youngbear. And then following the addition of Walter Youngbear, we get a couple more pickups that I think are nice. One being one that I was hoping, and we had talked about previously, that was visiting. We went over his kind of numbers, obviously his connection, being an in-state native from Martinsburg. So, West Virginia loses a receiver from Martinsburg at this point. Hudson Clement's still in the portal, hasn't committed anywhere, but they gain a receiver from Martinsburg and Gerard Bowie from Jack State. Obviously, they had a big game in their bowl game, over 100 yards. Super fast guy, speedy. I think he's going to be a talented player for West Virginia to utilize. You see his commitment graphic there that he put out on social media. But also, I thought that this was interesting because I didn't even realize this, in addition to before he was at Jack State playing under Rich Rod. Of course, he was at Martinsburg High School, a state native, but he played at Concord, which is interesting to me because I'm down here in Mercer County, and that's right here near where I'm from. My parents even lived in Athens for a period right there by Concord University, and he played for Concord and obviously was a huge standout there. You see some of his numbers when he was there. He was leading the nation about everything. That's obviously why he was able to transfer up to Jack State, then get into Division I, and then transfer up yet again and go to now the Power 5 level, Power 4 level rather now, for his final year here, coming back home to be back in West Virginia and play at WVU, which you can tell that's when you're a talented guy, when you just move up slowly, going from, Concord, then up to the next level, and then now up all the way to the Power Conference level. So Gerard Bowie, super fast, good addition for West Virginia, coming over from Jacksonville State. And when you look at the Jacksonville State PFF grades, obviously I can't share them on the screen, with that being a paid service, but I can tell you that Gerard Bowie was the third highest graded player in the passing game and the number 2 highest graded player in the receiving game for Jacksonville State, right behind Cam Vaughn, who was another receiver I'd love to see us land, who's also in the portal. That would be a huge pickup. He's one of my top of my list guys right now in the portal. And we'll talk about another guy that's near the top of my list in the portal momentarily, but like the pickup of Gerard Bowie for WVU, getting an in-state native. And speaking of that, it wasn't only one in-state native for WVU, but how about 2 in-state natives coming to join the roster, coming over from Jack State, as also from Martinsburg as well. Jacob Barrett committing to WVU at the tight end spot. Obviously was the teammate of Bowie at Jack State under Rich Rod. There's his commitment graphic that he put out on his Instagram, coming back home to WVU to play here in West Virginia, needing some spots at the tight end there. We'll talk more about that here in just a second. But we get the addition of Gerard Bowie. We get the addition of Jacob Barrett. So 2 in-state natives, and then of course an offensive line addition, which was a big position of need, and it's a standout guy that was really highly sought after in the portal, and Walter Youngbear. But I like the addition of Jacob Barrick, and I think the maybe underlying silver lining here is, it's always been reported since Hudson was in the portal that there's always that opportunity that he could potentially return to WVU, right? Well, if West Virginia landing 2 Martinsburg guys, I mean, that may be something that would entice him to want to come back to WVU. I mean, it can't hurt your chances, right? So maybe that's something else that we could look at with this. Who knows? It's still up in the air. I know Hudson's got plenty of suitors. We've heard about a lot of them. We'll see what happens with him. But we do have 2 other Martinsburg players on the roster now, and Jacob Barrick and Gerard Bowie. So those are the latest movement there for West Virginia in the transfer portal. So let me pull up our transfer portal tracker here that we've been using to track this throughout the offseason, and we'll continue to do so here on the CRW. Obviously, the transfer out list had been something we were utilizing heavily, but now finally getting to that transfer in side of things. But an update here on the transfer outside of things. For sure, everyone probably saw today CJ Donaldson committing to Ohio State. So obviously not returning to WVU, has committed to Ohio State. Like I said, the ones that remain uncommitted, there's always that potential for them to return if Rich Rod would allow them to do that. Obviously, that's something you got to factor in there, but you always got to talk about that. We're doing these transfer portal updates here with our December 23rd one. But what we're most excited about now is the transfer in list continuing to grow up to 5 names now. Positions that we knew we needed: receiver, offensive line, tight end, and obviously defensive back's a big-time need for West Virginia as well. And West Virginia securing a player, at least one in each of those positions, getting 2 wide receivers, which is nice. We had Singleton that we talked about last night. Now we get Bowie from Jack State, Barrick from Jack State, as well, 2 in-state guys. And obviously, I think I've waxed poetic enough about Walter Youngbear. But speaking of Bowie and Barrick specifically, and you could really throw Warren Singleton into this, I think that really today we learned that there's even more of a need for a wide receiver and a tight end. So I think it's glad to see that the same day that news came out, the West Virginia added a wide receiver and a tight end, because it was reported by 247 Sports. Chris Anderson put this out in an article today. I believe it's time-stamped. 9:30 a.m. Today on December 23rd, making something official that had been discussed on their board for a few days. Multiple sources told Ear Sports that wide receiver Preston Fox is going to call it a career, and tight end Traylon Davis also not coming back. Neither player in the portal. So it sounds like Preston Fox definitely retiring. Could be what Traylon Davis is doing as well. I think I heard that he has graduated also. But either way, Preston Fox and Traylon Davis not going to be on the 2025 roster for the Mountaineers. So let me pull up our roster, which we'll be doing roster updates once January comes around and more new players start to enroll. But of course, I did show this on the last one just to give you guys kind of an update of where things stand. But now, since we have another update on that, we got to remove Traylon Davis, which is why you have a need at tight end and why Jacob Barrick's going to feel a big need there, as you were down to only 3 scholarship tight ends currently. You do have, a Quarty coming in who will be a freshman, but now you add Barrick as well. That's going to help you there. And Barrick, did open up some running lanes there at Jack State. And then a wide receiver, Preston Fox, going to retire. I think it's just unfortunate. I think that last, big injury that he had this season. After that, you really see him kind of just focus on the return game at the receiver position. They were just playing Rodney Gallagher a lot more, and we weren't really utilizing Preston Fox a ton until later in the season when he had to, when we had other players be injured and had to be called upon him a little bit more there like he was earlier in the season. But I think, obviously probably those injuries kind of added up, and the fact that he graduated, just kind of deciding to retire. So he's moving on, as well as, of course, the tight end Traylon Davis I mentioned there. Apologies for my dog barking if the mic's picking that up. My wife's probably just now getting home. She was on her way, I believe. She stated a little bit ago. But nonetheless, so that's where it stands now. No Preston Fox, no Traylon Davis. So good that we had a tight end in Barrett. Good that you had a receiver in Bowie. And, of course, another one in Singleton that we previously reported on. So that's what I have here as far as the transfer portal update is concerned. But the last thing I want to throw in, guys, I'm going to keep you guys too long on this stream, especially with my wife just getting home. Want to eat dinner with her and greet her and stuff. So I won't make this one too lengthy, but did have to want to come with the transfer portal update here. But I mentioned, Cam Vaughn being one of the higher targets on my list as far as transfer portal guys I want West Virginia to land. And the good news about him is he has came to West Virginia on a visit. He was one of those guys that was in this past weekend with the handful of others that have already committed. So maybe we'll get good news on Cam Vaughn like we have some of these others. But I think that we got some really, I guess, at least news that puts us, in the ballpark of this being a possibility, which I'm excited about, right? Because one thing that we've talked about and we knew was going to happen is West Virginia was going to target a transfer portal quarterback. And I was just kind of interested to see, are they going to see one they want to go after now? Or are they going to wait till the spring to bring one in to kind of be competitive in this thing? With the guys that Rich Rod has mentioned that he liked, as we shared in the previous stream, Nico Marchio, Khalil Wilkins, and of course you got freshman Scotty Fox coming in, but he'll be a true freshman. And you were wondering who West Virginia could target. And there was one guy that just recently entered the portal, is now officially in, that I think we were all hoping West Virginia would target, and it looks like they indeed will be doing just that. And that is Hoshie from TCU, officially in the portal. See this coming from Chris Hummer on social media here today. This is from his rep, though, so coming directly from his agent. Some of the schools that have contacted him: UCF, the good old Mountaineers right there, West Virginia, BYU, Utah State, and James Madison. It's going to be setting up visits soon. Hopefully we get him to Morgantown. If we do, hope we don't let him leave without a commit. 4-star recruit, number 12 overall quarterback in last year's class there, the 2024 class. So super high rated. But what I really like about this one and why he would be one of my very top targets in the portal for West Virginia land is he can absolutely fly, guys. Super fast. I think I seen someone reply in the comments to me, and I believe I checked and verified 90-plus speed guy on College Football 25. So that would be awesome to add that type of speed at the quarterback position to factor in with, a few other guys that we already have that can run the football well also, what you need, because Rich Rod likes to run the quarterback in his system. The quarterback will be utilized in the running game. And if you have a QB with speed like Hoshie, you talk about having some explosive plays, that would be interesting to see. So keep an eye out for that one. Hopefully he comes to Morgantown for a visit, but that's just a potential target to keep in mind as some of the others that we've talked about on past live streams. But the main thing here was to discuss the December 23rd transfer portal update is multiple new Mountaineers, guys. A trio joins. We get Walter Youngbear on the offensive line, and we get 2 West Virginia natives, tight end Jacob Barrick and wide receiver Gerard Bowie coming over from Jack State. So that's the big thing. And then, of course, we'll see what else happens. I'm sure there's going to be more news coming out. I hope to be back with you guys again. If anything comes out tomorrow, I may try and do something late tomorrow night. But if nothing else, I'll be back with you guys on the 26th. And if I don't get to see you guys again after this live stream, just hope you guys and your families have a great Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, whatever it is you celebrate. If you celebrate anything, you celebrate nothing, just hope you get to enjoy time being around people that you care about. But nonetheless, wanted to throw that in here too. And appreciate you guys being here for this one. Other than that, I'm going to catch up on some of y'all's comments in the chat, and then we'll get ready to wrap this one up. Appreciate you guys. Hey, new member, Don Lewis, appreciate you, man. Really appreciate the membership. Means a lot there. Help keeps the mics recording here and the cameras rolling on the channel. The catalyst to help keeping things go here on the CRW or the channel members, and we really appreciate you guys and try and give back to you all. You can see the channel members in there in the chat with the WVU helmets beside their names. And we really appreciate that. And if you would like to join and help us monthly, you can do that for as low as $1.99 a month, and you'll get player grades after each game. You'll get snap counts, injury reports, depth chart projections, film reviews, game rewatch commentaries, all kinds of good stuff, as well as the bonus stuff you get in the chat there, the helmets, the emojis, and, kind of early podcast episodes throughout the offseason. So a bunch of good stuff there. If you're a big WVU football fan, you can check that out. But the fast, easy, and free way to support us as well is just hitting the like button on the video and being sure you're subscribed to the channel. But appreciate the channel members. And lastly, before I get to your all's comments, before I forget, let me go ahead and pull up the thing here so I can start a poll in the chat, because my poll of the night for this one is going to revolve obviously around the transfers. Which of the 3 commits that we got today are you most excited about? All right, that's going to be the question for you guys to vote on in the chat as soon as I can get it typed up. We got Walter Youngbear. If I could type correctly right now. When I'm behind my mic, I'm so far from the keyboard, it makes it difficult. Gerard Bowie or Jacob Barrick are going to be the options. You guys vote in the chat. We'll share the results at the end of the stream, see how you guys are feeling there. So vote in the chat. I'm going to catch up to your all's comments. Then we'll share the results of the poll before we wrap up here. Poll of the night in the December 23rd CRW live stream. Which of these 3 new transfer commits are you most excited about? The offensive lineman Walter Youngbear, the tight end Jacob Barrick, or the wide receiver Gerard Bowie? Let me know there, and while I catch up on your all's comments, I will let those votes fly in. I'm going to take a swig of my coffee here, and then I will chat with you guys a little bit before we wrap things up. Appreciate you guys being in here tonight. Kenny Evans, appreciate you, man. Any news on any coaches coming to WVU? Not currently. The only thing is from, last night's stream still yet. The Michael Nice Wonder and the Ryan Gear are the only two that have really been reported, which those aren't official yet. But hopefully we'll hear some news in the coming days. I wouldn't rule out hearing something tomorrow, even on Christmas Eve. You never know because, Rich Rod did say, I think it was on Sportsline, that they would start rolling out the staff before Christmas. So, I guess potentially the reports of the other two could be them starting to roll out the staff. So maybe that could be all we get before Christmas. But we'll see. I think we'll start to hear more on the offensive guys than we do before we do the defensive guys. Like we shared in the last stream, Rivals was reporting that it would be after December 28th when we hear on the defensive coordinator. So we'll maybe hear more on the defensive staff guys then. I think offensive line is what people are wondering and looking at now. And, of course, offensive coordinator because Rick Trickett staying at Jack State makes people wonder. There's a lot of smoke around Garen Justice, and I think that would be a great hire if West Virginia can get him away from SMU. But we'll see what happens there moving forward, and hopefully we'll hear something on staff soon, Kenny. But no real news yet on that. Nothing concrete that I'd like to share or report on because nothing's really been reported, unfortunately. Eric Flower said he got his 2 Spot the Ball shirts in today from the NIL store. Oh, nice. I've seen a few people getting them in, so hopefully mine's coming soon, man, because I haven't got mine yet. I think I saw someone else got theirs yesterday, so mine better be coming this current week, I hope. Jared Howden says CJ to OSU hurts. Yeah, I hope he gets some playing time there, man. I hope it's not another case of some of the other guys we've seen that go to, Big Ten, SEC schools and don't get to play. I wish him well, man. He could shine there if they put him on the field. I think CJ's a talented player, but the door is really open at West Virginia for Jaheim White to have a huge season, man. I think that he could have an amazing year in this Rich Rod offense. So super excited. Hey, Mark, let's go Mountaineers, man. Appreciate you. Tim Green, channel member, said he would like to wish everyone happy holidays. Let's go Mountaineers. Indeed, Tim. Well said, my friend. WV Sandlapper shares the thoughts, I think, of a lot of us and bring back the glossy helmets. I'm all for it. And I'm hoping to see a glossy gold helmet. That's something we've never seen. They've always been matte. And you guys know I love the gold. So I'm not gonna hit the button on the sound bar. I'm tempted to, but I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna drop the I love gold soundbite. Mainly just because I don't want to reach for it. Yeah, I know, Eric. I was hoping for that as well. You could get CJ in there with Jaheim and those 2 back sets, but maybe as well that's one reason that he did decide to leave is because he saw, the way that he would maybe be utilized in that type of scheme. Because if you think about it, Owen Schmidt would only get 2, 3, 4 carries a game, and he probably wouldn't have been too fond of that. Maybe he would have given CJ more. But nonetheless, I think that hope that he does get some playing time at Ohio State because he could be a good player there. But nonetheless, it's next man up. And West Virginia, I think, has some good running backs still on the roster that'll make some plays in the Rich Rod offense. Hey, Timothy Green says, damn glad we got Walter Youngbear. Hey, me too. That's a Mountaineer name if I've ever seen it. And his picture, he just looks like a Mountaineer as well, man. Overworked, underpaid says, as a resident of Tulsa, we were getting a good guy. Welcome home, Young Bear. Hey, awesome. Overworked, underpaid. So you're right there where he's coming from. Good to hear that. That's cool, man. Yeah, Kenny, that's what I'm hoping, man. That's what I'm hoping. That would be nice if Huddy would return to play with his former teammates now that they're here. We'll see what happens. Josh said, great show. I'm wishful thinking to be nice to get Robbie Martin back home from NC State or the commit from Huntington High that is committed to Clemson. Yeah, it'd be nice, man. That'd be nice. I mean, we are getting some in-state natives back, so you never know. Hey, Merry Christmas, Silas Drumwolf. So you guys wishing everyone Merry Christmas there. Appreciate that. Yeah, Tim, Cam Vaughn's a burner, man. He can take the top off the defense. I mean, between Cam Vaughn, Gerard Bowie, Dom Collins, we would have some ridiculous speed at the receiver position if we could land Cam Vaughn for sure. And that's, like I said, he's probably the receiver that I want most in the portal right now is Cam Vaughn. After, watching a couple of Jack State's game and then watching him in the bowl game, obviously 800 yards as a freshman is super impressive. So I would love to be able to get him 6'2" and great speed. Merry Christmas, Gene Ann. Appreciate you guys all being in here and wishing everyone happy holidays, Merry Christmas and stuff as well. Merry Christmas, Mike. See you wishing it in there as well. Garen Justice, homegrown would be huge indeed, Josh. I would love to see Garen Justice get the offensive line coach job. And if he does, I think you're showing that we're willing to pay to get some good coaches because they're going to have to pay to get him away from SMU. And if he does come, he would probably have to have like an offensive coordinator title to go along with it, I think, because I believe he has that at SMU. I believe he's co-OC. So that would be cool. That would be awesome. I would love to see Garen Justice back. That would be great. H Bar Farkle channel member here says, psyched about Rich's staff. Can't wait to see the whole coaching staff. What about Blaine? Yeah, I really am interested to see what plays out with Blaine Stewart and what role he ends up having on this coaching staff, because I think obviously we've brought in Nice Wonder, who's probably going to work with tight ends. He was tight ends inside receivers at Jack State. Ryan Garrett's going to work wide receivers. And those are the two areas where I believe Blaine Stewart has experience the most, is wide receivers and tight ends. I mean, I think that he played quarterback and stuff, so maybe he could factor in somewhere else. I think I saw someone mention maybe special teams. Could he work with special teams? I don't know. That's an option. We'll see what happens going forward. I'm interested to see what shakes out with Blaine Stewart. Someone asked me on social media if he could work with quarterbacks. I don't see that happening, and I think it's been rumored that the quarterback coach may already be here on campus in Morgantown anyways. So I don't think that would happen, but I'm interested to see what title he gets, as it is, he's the one that's going to be the one holdover, but doesn't look like he'll be coaching tight ends. So we'll see what happens there with him, but he's definitely glad to see him, staying home and getting to stick at WVU at least for sure. And Tim Green, channel member, says, I think within 2 years we'll be competing for the Big 12 championship. Hey, bold prediction, but I don't disagree with you, Tim. I think that that's what they're aiming for with this hire, what everyone, that was behind it, Pat McAfee, Ren Baker, of course, everyone was hoping for with this hire was a quick turnaround to where you could be winning in 2-3 years top. So, wouldn't be obviously really out of the realm of possibility. I think it's obviously supposed to be a quicker rebuild than what we went through with Neil Brown. I think pretty much universally it's probably accepted that next year, bowl game at minimum is what you're expecting in year one, and then really hoping to start winning in year two would be the guess. We'll see what happens. 8 to 10 wins next year is a step up. Indeed, Kenny Evans, it would be. It would be. Mark Alder said, do you think we might see any more of our starters leave for the portal before it closes? I don't think so. I feel like it would have probably already happened. We may see some other guys leave. I don't think it would be any of the starters, hopefully not. And quite frankly, there's not too many left. As I pull, see if I pull the roster back up really quickly and just look, because I think after Preston Fox, on offense, you're going to have Jaheim back. That's one. Gallagher, you can consider a starter. He was starting late season. So 2, Traylon Davis is gone. Whole offensive line's gone. So 2 starters are only returning on offense. Nico started some games, but, he wasn't really a full-time starter. So I think Jaheim, and if you consider Rodney Gallagher, you get 2 starters back on offense right now. And then on the defensive side of things, you have Eddie V potentially coming back, which he was a starter before his injury. So there's 1. Reed Carrico started some games. You want to consider him. That's 2. And then that's it. So you have, 2 starters on each side of the ball only left, really. So I don't really think there's any starters that really can hit the portal. You may see some other guys hit it. We'll see. I think the next time you'll really see a mass exodus, if there is another one, would be after spring, after these guys start going through their winter workouts, because it's going to be tough running this up-tempo. The conditioning is going to be different with this Rich Rod hard edge culture, with the up-tempo system he runs. So, watch out for that in the spring. But, really, it's pretty much all new starters for West Virginia next year for the most part. It's going to be interesting to see how things shape up. Like I said, originally when this thing first happened, that I was expecting at least 30 to 40 new players on the roster, and I think you're definitely going to have to see that now with the numbers that we have, left over after the players that have decided to leave have chosen to do so. But shout out to the ones that have chosen to stay. Jaheim White sticking it out. That was, always my favorite player, and just holding out hope, and knock on wood, he does stick around because he can be a huge asset in this Rich Rod offense. But yeah, that's kind of where we sit, man. But hey, at least we got players coming in now. We got guys committing to the roster that I'm really excited about. So that's awesome. I really appreciate you guys that have tuned in and chimed in. See if I'm all caught up here. Think I'm all caught up in chat now for the most part. Oh, yeah, DT Reed, I didn't get to share this. Yeah, Matt Moore did go to Virginia Tech. Appreciate you, Dustin, always tuning in and chiming in. Matt Moore, man, how about that? It's kind of funny because it's almost like he has a villain arc now, right? Because a lot of people were upset because of his shot at the hard edge culture, it looked like on the way out. And then, now going to VT, going to a rival, that probably doesn't help his case any. So, I think it's a good hire for VT because personally, I think Matt Moore is actually a pretty good offensive line coach. So maybe a good hire for them. But I don't know how long that'll stick because, VT's coach is potentially going to be on the hot seat as well. So we'll see what happens. But a good hire for them. And I think now the thing to watch is see if they try and go get some of the West Virginia offensive linemen that are in the portal, the Thomas Remax, the Johnny Williams, and the Sullivan Weedmans of the world. We'll see what happens with that, though. But appreciate all you guys tuning in. George Edwards says fingers still crossed for Cam Vaughn, and Young Bear will be a good addition. Completely agree. Completely agree with that as well, George, for sure. We have 22 commits that we were still able to pull in that are incoming in the freshman class. If all those guys will enroll and stuff, some of them are coming in enrolling early in the spring. Most of them will be coming over the summer into the fall. But 22, man. So we're bringing in at least a good class. We did a great job to keep that class intact, and that was very vital that they were able to do that, especially doing it without a head coach was big. And we're going to bring in several transfers as well. And we've brought in, or at least have commits from 5 now currently that we've covered here. 3 of those in this stream: Walter Youngbear, Jacob Barrick, and Gerard Bowie. Also, of course, talked about Preston Fox and Traylon Davis leaving the roster as reported by Ear Sports, Chris Anderson there at 247sports.com. So those are kind of the main updates I wanted to share here. And any further updates that come back, I'll try and get with you guys tomorrow night if I can. If not, I'll be back on the 26th after Christmas. But like I said, hope you guys have an awesome holiday. Before you head out, whether you watch this live or if you're watching on a playback, hit the thumbs up button and be sure to subscribe to the channel. If you're watching on a playback and didn't get a chance to throw in any questions or comments you wanted to, just drop them in the comments. I'll try and respond in text form. But the last thing I want to do before we wrap up is we got to see the poll results, guys. The poll of the night tonight and tonight's stream, I asked you guys who was your favorite addition of the 3 transfers we had committed today. And I'm not really surprised by the results that Walter Youngbear is the favorite going away. I mean, the name, the look, and obviously the highlights there of him mauling people are going to be, a dead giveaway. But he wins the poll there, 76%, Bowie with 19%, and Jacob Barrick with 4%. So that's the poll of the night and the results there. But really appreciate you guys chiming in on the poll there and, of course, being active in the chat tonight as well. Really appreciate you guys and your engagement here lately as we've been trying to cover this roster as it builds and cover this staff as it builds as well. And we'll continue to do both of those things. Silas with a great point here. We're talking a little bit about Christmas here, and a great Christmas gift would be Henry Jr. Chris Henry Jr. would be a nice gift for WVU fans. Hey, but we got plenty of time to work on him, 10 or 11 months to work on him to hopefully get him flipped from Ohio State. And that would be awesome. Yeah, man, I was just talking about that, Curtis D, 316. The fact that we're targeting him is big because he does have that type of speed that would be lethal in this Rich Rod system. So he's definitely at the top of my list of guys in the portal. We'll see what happens with that. West Virginia will be bringing in a transfer quarterback. If it does end up being Hedgeny, that'd be huge. You'd see me really excited on that transfer portal update. But we'll be doing an update covering a quarterback joining the roster at some point. I'm sure of it. And we'll be covering any other players that join the roster as well as we have done with this trio. But guys, hope you all have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holiday, whatever it is you celebrate. Enjoy the time with the people that you care about over the next couple of days, Christmas Eve tomorrow, and then, of course, Christmas on Wednesday there, the 25th, and hopefully we get some good news and some more gifts for us throughout Mountaineer Nation, whether it be coaching staff or more transfer pieces. That'd be great to hear. Super excited about how things are looking for the Rich Rod 2.0 era as things stand currently. But hey, let's get off here. Let's go watch some Christmas movies or something. How about that, man? Eat some dinner and do that. I mean, I watched The Ref earlier. That's a great Christmas comedy. If you've never seen it, I feel like tonight's a good night for Black Christmas, the Bob Clark classic. Christmas Story is a Bob Clark classic, but I love Black Christmas, one of my favorite Christmas horror movies, which Christmas horror movies are underrated. But I won't babble on about movies too much. If you guys want to hear me talk about that, you can check me out on my other channel, JC's Movies. That's JC''S Movies. But I'm going to get out of here for the night for the December 23rd transfer portal update. Appreciate you guys. We'll continue to cover this roster, cover this coaching staff as well as things continue to shape up here for the Rich Rod 2.0 era. We're super excited about it. We're holding the rope and getting ready to spot the ball. Can't wait for spring football and to get ready for this 2025 team and see how this roster shakes out. Really excited about this trio we've covered in this December 23rd update, and super happy that you guys came out and showed out here in this stream and chimed in. And appreciate you guys for dropping the likes and for subscribing to the channel. As always, I'm Jordan Cruz, and until next time, let's go Mountaineers.